2,185 days after her disappearance, Christina was found. Our hearts are irreversibly broken.
Are the last haunting images of Karina Vetrano, taken just minutes before she was murdered on a remote jogging trail, shown for the very first time.
Karina Vetrano, who lives in New York, left her home for her daily run. Normally, her father would join her, but on this day, he couldn't because he was ill. Unfortunately, what Karina experienced that day was horrific. In today's first case, we'll have a look at the young woman's ordeal and the arrest of her attacker. We will also witness the disappearance of a girl whose last moments were captured on camera. Brace yourselves. We're stepping into the crime scene now.
Wrong to kill an innocent young woman.
Vetrano's mother issued.
Karina Vetrano was born in New York, USA, on July 12, 1986, to parents Philip and Kathy Vetrano. She had a brother and sister. Her father, Philip, played a crucial role as a first responder during the September 11 attacks on the Twin Towers. Karina earned a master's degree in speech pathology and dedicated her career to working with autistic children while also pursuing writing. In late 2013, she contributed to a short film based on her writings. On the afternoon of August 2, 2016, Karina went for her usual run from her home. Normally, her father, Philip, would accompany her, and they would enjoy walks and conversations together. However, on that day, he was ill and stayed home. Concerned for his daughter's safety, he suggested she stay home too, but Karina assured him she would be safe and return before dark since she was familiar with the route. Philip sent his determined daughter off with loving words. Karina was captured on camera running toward Spring Creek Park around 5 p.m. The park is known for its natural beauty and trails. However, she met an unexpected and tragic end, the details of which would emerge hours later. When Karina did not return at the expected time, her father, Philip, grew worried and sent her a message but received no reply. Philip and his wife, Catherine, initially believed that Karina may have lost track of time while visiting friends. However, as evening approached without any word from Karina, they sensed that something was amiss and took action. Philip, Karina's father, sought help from his neighbor, the New York City police chief. This alerted the other neighbors, and together they began searching for Karina. Following her usual route, Philip led the search team to Spring Creek Park. There, amidst the wild underbrush, they soon discovered Karina's lifeless body. Karina's body and clothing showed signs of a brutal attack, including tearing and bruising in the vaginal area. Her father found her and held her until investigators arrived, concerned about preserving evidence. Investigators secured the area, and early findings indicated that Karina had been beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted based on the positioning of her bra and underwear. The autopsy showed that Karina was struck on the back of the head with a blunt object, repeatedly struck in the face, and had her front teeth broken. Scratches on Karina's neck suggest that she struggled to escape her attacker. At 170 meters tall and weighing 55 kilograms, she clearly faced a challenge. Forensic analysis revealed foreign DNA samples collected from her chest, back, and under her fingernails. The biological evidence found on the victim suggests that the incident was committed by an inexperienced murderer. Furthermore, tears and bruises in her vaginal area indicate the use of a foreign object during the attack. Karina held onto the grass as she was dragged. Investigators believe that the assailant followed her while she was running in the marsh and attacked her with a stone or similar object. Karina's tragic death quickly made national headlines, causing widespread concern, especially among women living alone, about the brutal murder of a young woman in what was considered a safe area. During the investigation, the authorities gathered hundreds of leads, but they were unable to identify the murderer. The idea that a killer was among the people caused unease. Investigators worked tirelessly to apprehend the assailant, while online sleuths began formulating their theories. The most striking of these was the suspicion cast on Karina's father, Philip. Some theorized that Philip, who found his daughter's body after she went for a run alone, was guilty. Despite the claims, Philip's DNA did not match the samples found on Karina's body, clearing him from the investigation. Investigators announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to the capture of the murderer. DNA samples found at the crime scene yielded no conclusive results, and no leads were found. The New York police reviewed over 1,700 investigative reports and followed up on more than 250 leads. Only 5 days after Karina's murder, 27-year-old Vanessa Marcotte was also found murdered while running on a rural road. This crime drew comparisons to Karina's murder. However, DNA analyses and other evidence suggested that the murders were committed by different individuals. The murders of women who were exercising alone in the same week raised concerns about public safety and sparked controversy.
It is wrong to kill an innocent young woman.
Vetrano's mother.
Approximately 6 months after the murder, a lieutenant living nearby contacted the sheriff's office to discuss a suspicious incident he observed in May 2016. He reported seeing a man watching parked cars in their usually quiet neighborhood. The man was wearing a hoodie despite the hot weather. The next day, another resident of the same area called 911 to report a man in a hoodie and jogging pants wandering in their backyard. The man was carrying a crowbar-like tool. Police located this individual, but found no tools on him. He was warned for trespassing, and his name and address were recorded. Investigators decided to visit 20-year-old Chanel Lewis at his home in Brooklyn after evaluating the information. Lewis had few friends, no romantic relationships, and had been unemployed for some time. Although he had committed minor offenses in the past, he had no serious criminal record. The police explained the purpose of their visit and asked Lewis if he had been near Spring Park on August 2nd. Lewis claimed he was not present at the time. Subsequently, the detectives proposed that Chanel provide a DNA sample, to which he readily agreed without hesitation. Laboratory tests conducted 2 days later revealed that Chanel Lewis's DNA matched that of Karina Vetrano's murderer, leading to his arrest.
Teresa Forbes is adamant, saying her brother Chanel Lewis did not kill Karina Vetrano. She believes the police are setting him up.
They are framing him for the crime.
Background checks showed that he had previously caused disturbances in the same park and had been apprehended by the police twice. Further detailed investigations uncovered that Chanel had previously suffered from psychotic episodes, posing a risk to both himself and others, and had been taken under observation several times. Chanel knew how to act appropriately while under observation, managing to calm himself, control his senses, and consistently return to his family. When questioned about Karina Vetrano's murder, he admitted to harboring hatred towards women, but denied being her killer. However, Chanel confessed to going to the park when confronted with the fact that his DNA matched samples from Karina's body, claiming that what happened was accidental.
Just the face? All right. About how many times did you hit her in the face?
Around 5.
All right. Was she standing when you started to hit her, or was she on the ground?
She was on the ground.
Okay. So when did she fall to the ground? After you grabbed her? All right. Now when she fell to the ground.
On the day of the incident, Chanel had an argument with his family members, which made him angry. He saw Karina in the park and decided to vent his anger on her. He struck her on the head and dragged her into the bushes. He attempted to have sexual intercourse with her but was unsuccessful. Karina resisted her attacker, but Chanel hit her violently, causing her blood vessels to burst. investigators questioned Chanel's family, who confirmed that their children would leave the house after a fight and return hours later with worn clothes. Despite this, Chanel's family argued that he was too good a child to commit murder and was absolutely innocent. Further investigations revealed that Chanel's father noticed cuts and scratches on him and took him to the hospital. Lewis informed his father that he had been attacked, but did not provide any further details. On November 5, 2018, Chanel Lewis stood trial for the murder of Karina Vetrano. During the trial, the jury was shown disturbing photos taken during the autopsy. Some jurors chose not to view them. DNA technology experts testified that the samples taken from Karina's body were highly unlikely to belong to anyone other than Chanel Lewis. The jurors were played recordings of Chanel's murder confessions. The defense claimed that the statements were coerced. However, Chanel appeared comfortable recounting his experiences. Defenders also argued that Chanel was targeted due to his race and history of mental instability. They attempted to downplay the significance of the DNA evidence. On November 21, a judge declared a mistrial because the jury seemed influenced by the defense's arguments. Prosecutors then developed a new strategy. In March 2019, Chanel was tried a second time. Chanel Lewis was found guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and sexual abuse. He was sentenced to life imprisonment 3 weeks later. DNA evidence proved Chanel's guilt, and a juror from the second trial confirmed that the jurors did not believe he had given a false confession. Despite Lewis's supporters expressing anger over his conviction and pushing for a retrial, his appeal is pending. Although some criticized the justice system after Karina Vetrano's tragic death, the decision was not changed during the appeal process. Chanel was found guilty unanimously. Before we dive into our next story, if you could take a moment to hit that like button, it would mean the world to us. A single click for you is a huge boost of encouragement for us. We are headed to Plano, a vibrant city in Texas with a population of approximately 300,000 residents. Christina was born in Collin County, Texas in July 1991. Despite her parents divorcing when she was young, Christina remained close to her mother, who lived nearby. She embarked on a new chapter of her life when she moved to Fort Worth with her boyfriend, Hunter Foster, after finding a job at a matchmaking company. Christina planned to spend Friday night, August 29, 2014, in Plano, where her old friends still lived. On Labor Day, she met up with her high school friend Paulina Petrowski. They reunited with more high school friends that night before heading to Paulina's apartment in a bustling area of Plano. The area is known for its mix of commercial and residential buildings, including homes, shops, and bars. This location meant they didn't have to travel far for entertainment. After having fun at Paulina's, they went to a bar around 11 p.m. and stayed for about half an hour. After the first venue closed at 2 a.m., Christina, Sabrina, Enrique, and Steven decided to return to Paulina's apartment. When they arrived, Christina's friends noticed she seemed upset. It turned out that Christina had messaged her boyfriend, Hunter, earlier in the evening but received no response. She had wanted him to join the party, but he declined and went out with his friends instead. Christina spent the whole night waiting for Hunter, messaging him for help and asking if he could pick her up. She mentioned losing her car keys, which she needed for work the next day, and expressed her confusion over his silence. Around 3 a.m., Christina grew frustrated and sent reproachful messages to Hunter, declaring, "You've lost the best thing that ever happened to you." She decided to take a taxi and became more agitated as her friends Steven and Paulina tried to comfort her. Initially, Christina considered staying the night at Paulina's, but eventually changed her mind and insisted on returning to Fort Worth. Although Steven offered to drive her home the next morning, Christina insisted she was not too drunk to drive. The following day, Christina failed to show up for work, causing concern among her colleagues. They tried reaching out to her through messages and social media. They noticed a friend had shared a post from Christina's Facebook page, asking her boyfriend to call because she was sick. Worried about her, Christina's colleagues contacted her family, who only knew she had been last seen at Paulina's apartment. Christina's family spoke with Enrique, who had also been at the party. He mentioned leaving with Christina but parting ways once they were on the street. Christina was on the phone when she left, but Enrique didn't know who she was talking to. Concerned about her disappearance, the family contacted the police. Initially, the police reached out to Christina's boyfriend, Hunter, who was uncooperative. He resisted allowing the police to examine his phone and deleted some messages before eventually consenting. Hunter claimed he hadn't been home on Friday night, but had been at a bar in Dallas. He admitted receiving numerous messages from Christina but insisted he hadn't read them. Hunter only began to worry about Christina's whereabouts when her father called to inquire about her. Christina's friends and family informed the police of their suspicions about Hunter's involvement with drugs, either as a user or a seller. Hunter admitted to taking Xanax and consuming a significant amount of alcohol that night. While he denied going to Plano, his vague memory of the night raised suspicion among the police. Despite thorough investigations, there was no evidence linking Hunter to Christina's disappearance. The police investigated the parking lot where Christina's car was found locked, with no signs of a struggle. Surveillance footage showed Christina and Enrique entering the parking lot at 3:55 a.m. and his vehicle left at 3:58 a.m. However, there was no record of Christina or her car leaving. Enrique mentioned that Christina was on the phone when they left, but he didn't know with whom. Phone records revealed that Enrique texted his girlfriend on the evening of August 29th, claiming he had been at his own house. When shown surveillance images of their parked cars, Enrique claimed not to remember that night due to intoxication. The police arrested Enrique on charges of abduction, even though Christina's whereabouts and what had happened to her remained a mystery. Enrique staunchly denied the allegations.
Sense.
We split after I saw my car. I went to my car. I don't know where she went or if she went to her car. I just went to my car and left.
During the trial, the prosecution presented 5 key elements supporting Christina's kidnapping. Firstly, Enrique was the last person seen with her that night. Secondly, his car had visible damage on the front, appearing to have been thoroughly cleaned. Thirdly, Enrique had defensive wounds on his body, indicating a possible altercation with Christina. Lastly, mobile phone signals from both Enrique and Christina indicated they were in the same area, and Christina's DNA was found on the floor mat of Enrique's car. Surveillance footage showed Enrique and Christina walking from Paulina's house to the parking lot, where their cars were parked next to each other. It was speculated that the abduction occurred either in the parking lot or at a later time. There was also a possibility that Enrique had crashed his car and concealed it in the trunk. In court, Enrique's colleagues testified, noting his tired appearance, bruises, scratches on his arms, and a limp. There was even a bite mark on Enrique's arm. Initially, Enrique claimed the injuries resulted from a fight, but he later changed his story, stating they occurred when a tire fell on him. The defense argued for Enrique's innocence, focusing on 4 main points: the nature of the injuries, the reliability of the DNA evidence, the presence of other suspects, and the interpretation of mobile data. Forensic expert Dr. Paula Brumit testified that Enrique's wounds were not bite marks, casting doubt on their significance. The credibility of the DNA evidence was questioned when a Plano Police Department investigator admitted the trunk mat had been left unprotected for 3 days. With Christina's body still missing, the jury deliberated to reach a verdict. After hours of deliberation, the jury delivered their decision. Enrique Arochi, was found guilty of aggravated kidnapping. He received a life sentence with the possibility of parole in 2046. 2 years after Enrique's conviction, construction workers discovered human remains in a wooded area in Texas. The Collin County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that the remains belonged to Christina Morris.
"2,185 days after her disappearance, Christina was found. Our hearts are irreversibly broken.
Before we conclude this video, please be aware that the video on the left may be disturbing. It is recommended for adult viewing only. On the right, you'll find a playlist of videos that have been highly appreciated by our viewers.